Hello and welcome to Chulainn versus Osiris. I thought we didn't just record this and it corrupt. It's fine though, we're going to do it again and we're going to make it even better. So, Chulainn versus Osiris, quintessential solo lane matchup, as we all know. Ability breakdown straight off the bat. Osiris enjoys ability spam. And this is due to his Sickle, which is his 1, and his Spirit Flare, which is his 2, interacting very well with his auto attack based nature, meaning that they enhance his slow, which is on his 1, and then his enhanced slow is 40% for 3 seconds, and then he'll just run at you with his auto attacks, which is his main form of doing damage. Well, aside from his abilities, he's very much he's weirdly hybrid, but he's a hybrid but slanted towards auto attacks. You wouldn't build him ability, but you accept that his abilities are also a key part of his kit. And I mean, talking about Chulainn for this, he can leap away from that enhanced slow, just ruining Osiris's plan of attack. And then another thing he can do is leap away from the tether of Osiris, which is obviously his stun, his 3, which also gives him damage reduction. So this is an important thing for Chulainn to do. Because of this tether, Osiris can early game box Chulainn. So not the first enraged state, but like maybe the second or the third, you can start boxing Chulainn quite comfortably as Osiris. And another thing to mention is the kits don't actually interact that much. They're not like, it's not like you say you're playing Artio and you're crippling a Chulainn. It's not like that. It's just you're there and he's there, and it's like, okay, well, we don't interact much, but we can still fight. We're still throwing into each other, and we're not countering each other. So another thing to mention is Chulainn can follow his Osiris leap with his own leap, and I'm 99% sure it doesn't go as far, but it still will be a good chase down tool. Osiris dash is effective. Leap, is effective getaway from a team fight or anything that he needs to. One thing to mention is be careful, because I have an anecdote. Osiris leaped over me. I leaped to where I dashed. Sorry, I was in my enraged state, and I dashed to where he was going to land. But I did it before he landed, and he rooted me. It was only for like, what is it, 0.4 seconds to root? It's not for very long. It's not a key that bad a thing, but it just was a small thing that can be the difference in fights. At that point it wasn't, but can be. Both kits have anti-heal. I'm just going to say Chulainn is more consistent because his 1's on such a short cooldown compared to Osiris ult. Osiris ult may be way more healing reduction, but it's not as consistent, and you're not necessarily going to be reducing their healing while they're healing. Whereas Chulainn, you're more likely to be reducing their healing. Obviously, the anti-heal doesn't affect each of these gods specifically, but this is more of a team-wide thing. And it's 6 seconds, and you have to land on them, which is really annoying because for some reason Osiris ult just seems to have that smallest leap. Pardon me, sorry, leap window of any leap. I swear. But let's move into the build breakdown. You see some lovely items down the bottom, but we will get into them. Osiris, very similar to Bologna. I lump them together. Both fit into a similar category, being an auto attack based warrior, but with still with useful abilities. And obviously, so Osiris is going to share a build with Bologna, being Mystical, Shoguns, Berserkers, Talisman, Toxiblade, that kind of thing. Animosity. He loves them kind of things. He can, and another thing to mention is he can fit into that jungle category. He can make use of items like Stone Cutting Sword, Serrated Edge, Medium Hasten Katana if he wants it, Golden Blade if he wants it. I don't think he wants it, but he can if he wants it. They all work well with his kit because he's auto attack based and he likes the attack speed. And even in the solo lane, Stone Cutting Sword would not be a bad shout. It gives you protections, and gives you quite a lot of damage. So if you're feeling already quite tanky, you can fit a Stone Cutting Sword into his build, and it probably would not feel bad at all. But nothing to say is the builds don't overlap too much. Osiris is going to be like tanky still, but Chulainn's looking more like Pridwin. Obviously, he's getting mystical Shoguns as well. But he's looking like Bulwark, Pestilence, that kind of thing. He can get Berserkers, but you might want to Shifters, Void. I don't know if you get Glad anymore. I don't think you get Glad anymore. but he can definitely still go berserkers if he wants it, and I probably would. But Osiris is still going to be tanky because of his 3. 35% max level damage. That is insanely high. And he's gonna still run you down and do insane amount of damage. So just keep that in mind late game. He's going to be very tanky, especially when his tether is up. It's only 4 seconds though. But in the laning phase, early to mid, Osiris will be dominant because even with the Chulainn enraged state, which normally wins him early game, just wins him early game, Osiris can outbox him. He might lose it, but he's more likely to win it. It's like a 60-40 kind of thing. So this is this point. He's still strong in the early game and can box in return. But this is by far the strongest stage of the game for Osiris. He really is known for being a lane bully, being dominant in lane, getting ahead, and then carrying that lead throughout the rest of the game. Whereas Chulainn can just be behind at this stage, but still do so much in teamfight because of his kit that he doesn't necessarily get the same rep as being a lane bully, although he is one. He's definitely known as a lane bully. That's bullshit. But Osiris needs to get ahead because he's weaker than Chulainn at teamfighting. But so you want to really be boxing until around level 12 because around there you're going to start getting some items on there. You're going to be quite tanky and it's going to be like very hard to kill each other. Like you still do it definitely, but it's like you're going to be wasting so much time boxing that you should be instead farming and rotating around the map to gold furies or helping you mid lane, doing pyro or doing scorpions or doing the jungle camps, invading, all that kind of stuff. You want to focus on that stuff rather than boxing around after like level 12 because you're not going to get much out of fighting each other. You're just going to be tickling each other for about 5 minutes and eventually one of you is going to die, but it's not important at that point. You're losing out. But we're going to transition into the teamfight phase now. Both are still strong here, but Chullainn's stronger. He's known for that god that can just be like 1v3, 1v4 and get a kill. And if the jungle is playing with the Chulainn, 1v4, 2v4, easy. Piece of cake. Because he's just got such high damage and tankiness and so many abilities. He's just so good at taking those 1vx's. Whereas Osiris is much more of a 1v1 god. He's going to walk down your ADC and then just try and burst them with his slows and auto attacks. But the issue is with Osiris is, compared to Chulainn, he only has 1 CC immune ult, which he may have to use to engage. Whereas Chulainn has 2 CC immune ults and then beads. And obviously Osiris also can have beads. But that means he just can easily get burst down, especially if they're playing with a support, say the support's a Cerberus. Well, if you've used your ult, okay, then Cerberus is just going to pick you up. Or if you've got beads, then he's just going to stun you. And it's just like, well, okay. And then say it's like a Cupid or something. Well, then you're just stuck in his ult. And it's just like, you're struggling at that point. You're just getting CC'd on cooldown. Whereas as Chulainn's like, okay, I'm going to ult this, beads this, and ult that. And it's like, well, okay, that's just 3 like ults that are just useless because he CC'd them all. So his build is inherently less tanky. Obviously he's still strong because of his damage reduction, and he may struggle to use his ult to engage, and you don't always want to use his ult to engage. You want to use blink more often, and but then you're not going to get the anti-heal from it. Say you're engaging onto like a hell, you want to engage with your ult, but then it's like, well, if I engage with my ult, then the Cerberus is just going to pick me up and I'm going to be useless, and the fact that I've ulted them is not going to matter. So you've just got to try and figure out the way around it. But Osiris can still outbox an ADC late game full build as well, like not just like a one that's super far behind. Just super high damage, and his damage reduction means he takes such little damage. He's so tanky that it's really nice. Okay, and now onto the sieging phase. Osiris and Cuckoo zone similar to each other because they're not doing it on CC, they're doing it on pure respect of the god's damage because they have such high damage. So if a Cupid is looking to go, okay, I'm going to try and steal this fire, I do not want to go the way that the Osiris is because the Osiris will just kill me. So I've got to take the long way round, or I've got to get someone to get this Osiris out of the way for me. So it's just, the zoning is so different to say like an Artio who's going to cripple, root, slow, stun you, and other gods that are similarly inclined. So it's like they do it that way. They do it their own way. They do it through damage. And another note is Osiris can still do damage to objectives. He has high damage for that. Although it's obviously not his role. But if he's needed, he will do more damage than Chulainn will. Just straight up. And Osiris also enjoys Animosity. And another thing to mention, he enjoys Mannequin Scepter, which will give him even more objective damage. But Animosity will also help him in his sieging, because he will do more damage to structures. Again, it's not his role to do damage, but if he's needed, he will do more. But Chulainn just provides more in this area, because I said it was like Chulainn through pure damage, but Chulainn also has CC, like super high CC. Osiris has a slow, and then an enhanced slow, and a root for 0.4 seconds. Whereas Chulainn has a root, a push, which is also a stun, a tremble, a knock up. And then his damage as well. And it's just like, that provides so much CC for so long that hopefully his team's done it by then. So it's just that little bit more that Chulainn can provide than Osiris. And also he can just stay up for longer because Chulainn's more tanky. Okay, so in conclusion, Chulainn provides more in the teamfight phase, but Osiris provides more in the laning phase, and that's why he needs to get ahead in the early game, because that is his strength, because of his high lane pressure, his boxing potential, and just lane dominance. So Chulainn can lose this matchup. Like, I've been talking like, oh my god, Chulainn's never going to lose this matchup. He can easily lose this matchup if he's killed Solid once for First Blood. He's behind for the entire game, and he's going to struggle until the teamfight phase. However, if you can keep going on to that lead, keep moving forward, you will like Chulainn will struggle to get back into the game, and that's why you need to get ahead early on. So Chulainn can struggle, but the issue is Osiris is more likely to struggle in this matchup. It's like a 60-40, 55-45 kind of vibe. It's not like super high, but it's still there. And I'm not saying Osiris is a bad choice. In reality, it's one of the better choices into Chulainn, because you gotta think, most gods compared to Chulainn are child's play, because Chulainn is so strong. So me saying that he's only slightly worse is really good for Osiris. And so just Chulainn is better in the Osiris than Chulainn is better than Osiris in the pure 1v1. However, it wouldn't surprise me if Osiris still won that 1v1. So that is my opinion, that Chulainn is better in most situations. And I hope you've enjoyed this opinionated video on Osiris versus Chulainn god matchup. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you like and subscribe, because that'd be really nice, really help me out. And I hope you have had a nice day, and I hope to see you again sometime. Yeah, peace.